Our second goal is to expose the works of darkness, starting with entertainment, a device the devil uses to control your mind and soul. Why? Because these are the subjects that are interwoven into a lot of your entertainment. Don't let them burn. This is Chris from Don't Let Them Burn. Welcome to my review of Wonder Woman. First and foremost, I want to remind you that this is a Christian movie review. If you're easily offended, now's the time to back out. If you don't want any spoilers, well, guess what? Now's the time to back out. So in this movie, we find a lot of pagan imagery like the sun symbolism and also the spiral, which goes back to a lot of mother goddess worship like Gaia and so forth, Juno. This woman is Diana, Princess Diana. Well, there's a goddess called Diana, and I think this is incorporated into the character. Now, for those that don't know, Wonder Woman is also Margaret Sanger, at least a part of her is. The creator, Dr. William Moulton Marston, had an affair with a woman, and her aunt was Margaret Sanger, who is the founder of the Negro Project, Planned Parenthood, and the Birth Control League. She was also a hardcore racist and feminist. So, without going into the full history of this creation of Wonder Woman, just bear in mind those things. Now, as Wonder Woman's mother gives her the history of their past, Zeus is mentioned as a god that created a world filled only with men that bore his image, and he saw it as good. The Amazon women were created to show men how to love and bring peace to the earth after Ares, the god of war, corrupted the hearts of men. This is a mockery of the biblical account, a deceptive way of programming the minds of people, young and old, that the biblical story of creation came from an old pagan myth. Bear in mind that there is no Garden of Eden or a biblical flood. Women are depicted as coming out of the water naked into the arms of men instead of being produced from the rib of Adam. Supposedly, the women were all enslaved after a while, which broke the peace, and the queen of the Amazonians led a revolt. Then Zeus sends the gods to the women's defense, and Ares kills all of them but Zeus. He injures him. Zeus dies of his wounds from the battle, but defeats the god of war. At the same time, he creates an island named Themyscira, or Paradise Island. This is a place for all the women to dwell. He also puts a protective bubble around it, protecting them from the outside world, then leaving them what is called the God Killer, for when Ares returns to lead men into the mother of all wars. Themyscira, by the way, is a place where the women don't look a day over 45. Diana is the only child there, but she's been growing since the defeat of Ares. It basically makes no sense. At least the way that they portray her growth and her training. They don't really give you a big scope of time. So by the 1940s, she looks like she's in her mid-20s somewhere. Another problem is, how do they account for the women that miraculously appear in a world full of men in the real world? Why is Diana acting so naive to so many things? Wasn't she educated as well as the other women? They seem to portray that in the movie also. As I mentioned before, the occult symbolism of the spiral is also shown in the movie while Captain Steve Trevor is being forced to tell the truth by the magic lasso. As you know that this is a feminist movie. He is under the womb of a woman, the Gaia, while being forced to tell the truth, under the control of women. It's also mentioned in the movie that Diana is not an Amazonian like the rest of them. I'll get to the meaning of that in a second. Now, Diana says that Amazonians speak hundreds of languages and that they are a bridge to a greater understanding between all men. It seems to allude to some sort of secret knowledge or a return to the Tower of Babel. It alludes to that women are the only ones to bring this sort of enlightenment. At least that's how it came off to me. Some of the lines that she speaks in this movie is like, "I can't stand by while innocent lives are lost," or "I'm willing to fight for those who can't fight for themselves." Now, in reality, I don't think Margaret Sanger would give two hoots about innocent lives. As you can see, Planned Parenthood has grown to be a taker of lives, especially those of the innocent. Now remember that this is a feminist movie. So, Diana believes that since there's no man that can stop the war, that she's the man that can whenever she defeats Ares, the world will be a better place, according to her. Now, metaphorically, the movie pokes fun at traditional marriage and the rate of divorce. It also encourages people to sleep with one another out of wedlock. If you've seen the movie, you understand what I'm talking about. Her original origin story is grafted in, but it's not the reality of what she really is in this adaptation. She believes she is sculpted from clay and brought to life by Zeus. This is in the comic books. In other words, she's a demigod or a golem from Jewish mysticism. Now, according to her, in the 12 volumes of sexual books she read, it comes to a conclusion that men are necessary for procreation, but not necessary for pleasure. Alluding to masturbation or lesbianism, the conversation seems to belittle the man in the relationship. When she arrives to the headquarters of the captain, she equates a woman as a secretary as being a slave. Then, Diana also has no sense of decency. This is played up as naivety, but it's pretty obvious the culture she's stepped into isn't like her own, but she consistently continues to show her skin in different situations. Wonder Woman is also continually lecturing men about how they do things and how they have no honor, yet she is also going by her own rules and acting as a rogue whenever she feels like it. Instead of lifting men up with her words, she tears them down. And this is the truth. Later, Wonder Woman runs into no man's land half naked to show that she's the only one with enough courage to do so. More courage than the whole army that hasn't gained any ground for a year. She can only do this because of her superhuman godlike abilities in the first place. Now, as stated before, this movie leaves out a lot of logic. How is it that she has to deflect bullets with her bracelets and a shield, yet she can run full speed into a tank and disable it without being injured? I understand that she doesn't know her true powers yet, but it still doesn't make sense. She didn't question her abilities before running straight on into a German tank. The captain and Wonder Woman finally get a chance to fornicate, and they take it. I guess she won't get pregnant since Margaret Sanger was a pioneer for birth control. Just saying. Later, when she finally meets up with the person who is the real Ares, she says, "You are him," and he says, "I am." It could be a mockery of the biblical name for God, but you would have to make up your own mind about that. It's then revealed to her that she, not the sword, is the God killer, because only a god can kill another god. It's revealed that Zeus slept with her mother and had a child, but that's not how it is portrayed in the beginning of the movie. Notice that a half god and a half human would result in the person being a demigod or a Nephilim, but they really push the point of her being a god altogether, a false god of course. Ares calls himself the god of truth, not the god of war. He goes on to say that he has whispered in the ears of people, inspiring them to build weapons and plans for destruction, but he doesn't make them use them. But he cannot be the God of truth because only Jesus Christ is the God of truth. Remember that. He also revealed that he wants to turn the world into a paradise like it was before man came on the scene with her help. But man has to be destroyed for that to come about. After all, they are brother and sister. Sort of like a new Adam and Eve sort of thing going on there. Wonder Woman is put in a bondage position while fighting Ares. This is a signature symbolizing her links to sadomasochism, kinky sex, and the oppression of women. This is found in the earlier comic books and the recent ones. After her love Trevor dies, she gets into a murderous fit of rage and starts plowing through men like a wild rhino, showing her true nature. Of course, they tone this down when she lets the only female villain of the movie escape while Ares is taunting her. She then claims that she believes in love, the fifth element in some circles, as her power is manifested to a higher crescendo. Ares summons the power of Zeus' lightning bolt, throws it at Wonder Woman, and her bracelets harness the power to magnify the power back at Ares. Game over. In the end, she talks about how she wanted to stop war, but each man has both darkness and light within them. Basically, what she's talking about here is the Force. Or again, the fifth element, or the chi, the ki, and the prana. But then she says, but only love can save the world. By the way, love sometimes is also the fifth element. And so, in a way, this is true about love, but only the love of Jesus Christ can save the world, not the love of a false god. It will fail every time. I hope you've gained something from this review. All of these false gods being promoted through these comic book movies and others, they're not uplifting your spirit, but leading you towards the new age. Also, for the Christian women out there that are saying that it's not a lot of feminism in this movie, the feminism is from the beginning to the end. And even if you want to make that case, a little bit of feminism is just as bad as a lot. It's not good. If you have any comments, please leave them below. This ends my review of Wonder Woman. If you like our videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all our frequent updates.